No, I haven't checked my locker yet. Yeah, that's exciting. Thank you for starting off with that. It might be.
Is it though? I mean, just that moment. I mean, look, you grew up watching the team, and you scored your first touchdown. Even after everything you've been through this offseason, that's special. Score your first touchdown in the season, but in this uniform.
Yeah, I mean, it was something that I had thought of throughout the offseason and even when we got into season. When that moment came and I knew it would come, trying to keep the ball. Obviously, I failed on that front, which is fine. But it was a funny moment. It was just you kind of get overwhelmed with just the emotion of playing in the game, right? Taking a big 30-point lead at that point. It's just it was funny. Nothing else really mattered. It was just that we were that much closer to winning.
How much did it add to that moment that it was still with Derek, though? Like that relationship that y'all have carried through here to New Orleans and then to have that moment?
Yeah, that was cool and that was special, and that's a great question. It's funny, just we get to the sideline and it's hard to score a shovel from the 6-yard line, but he's like, "Thank you." I'm like, "Oh, it's funny," and we have a great relationship. I'll always love Derek. Unbelievable family, and just everyone I've gotten to know through him has been pretty exceptional. It's definitely special coming from Derek.
So you got a chance to kind of just reflect on how you've been through to get to this point, from the time you got here and back in the spring, whatever, and the diagnosis and all that.
Thankfully, no. Honestly, I haven't had too much time to reflect. They keep us pretty busy around here. There's just so much to do. Kind of kidding a little bit, but obviously it's been a heck of a journey, and I look forward to having a lot more of that come in the future. There really is so much more to be done, and so much more that we can do as a team for us to really reflect on personal successes and experiences.
I know it's been this year. Last week the sky is falling. Now everybody's like ready for a Super Bowl. Is it more like when you're playing in Vegas? Maybe you got friends and family that are kind of like, "How are they doing? I don't even know." But for you, kind of being in the community, do you get more questions about the good and the bad?
Yeah, man, that's y'all's fault, man. That's all. That's you guys. These cameras. No, I'm kidding. It's really about staying within yourself. Don't believe in your hype and don't believe in your downfall. Most of the time, it's just kind of staying even keeled, staying level, and coming into each Sunday, each game, and really each Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, each practice, knowing what you have to do to be successful and trying to execute your game plan. And the times that we do that, you'll see that we could win against any team in the league, right? And that's any team in this league will probably think like that. And if they don't, then they're not in the right league or they're not playing the right sport. It's a matter of kind of knowing that the people that are with you are the guys in the seats, the guys in the rooms, the guys that are working for you to try to be successful.
How do you balance that particular mentality? This feels like the game that everybody was waiting for, and you finally get it, but how do you say this isn't just a flash in the pan, let's find a way to maintain this going forward?
Yeah, it's a great question, and there's an easy answer. What you have to do in this league is that everyone's always either getting better or worse, right? That's most sports, most professional sports, most professional athletes. The needle's always trending upward or downward. No one's ever staying the same. So if you could take a 34-point victory and capitalize on that by maybe making less mistakes, playing a more clean game, and not having it come up to Tyron making an unbelievable play to really get us sparked after a couple of drives went poorly for us. That's special. That's what we need to do to be successful. That's what we need to do to get our needle pointing upward.
Dennis said that last week. You're more vocal at practice. Do you feel like more of a leadership role having been here a little bit longer, or was that just kind of an anomaly?
No, I just get angry sometimes. I don't know. It's clear to see we have the tools. Like, we have the players, we have the people. We can be successful, and we've seen that. And I've always believed that it'll always start on Wednesday. It'll always start with practice. It'll always start with first and second down base run game. Like that's how you're going to win. That's going to be your bread and butter. That's how you're going to get into the third and manageables, the situations where you could actually control the game. And like everyone's got to have that intensity and that focus and that willpower to be able to come in and perform, especially after a loss. Yeah, we don't have the time to play around and waste plays and waste time. Like people work too hard.
Foster, I wasn't sure exactly what Ron asked you when you walked in. Dennis did mention that he thinks they located the ball. Did you?
I haven't spoken with DA yet.
So you don't know for sure if that is indeed the case?
Yeah, I don't know.
I'll give you the background.
Oh, okay.
We located 2 pictures of it, and there's a unique marking on the ball. There's 24 balls that were made for the game, and they're going through each of them to marry them up. But it has a really unique streak right along the seam that Bum's convinced.
Look at this.
It's pretty special. We got pretty special people around here. Do a lot of special work. Yeah, it's pretty exciting.
The last two shutouts the Saints have had, you've been on the field for both of them. What makes this defense so good?
Oh God.
You were feeling good for a second.
I didn't even think about that. I was like, what is he talking about? Yeah. It starts with their identity, who they are, obviously as individuals. 11 guys, really more. It's more than 11. That's not fair to those guys. But it's their identity of who they want to be and how we want to play. It's special. I've played on good defenses at different levels on different teams with different characters. But yeah, these guys, it just starts with their belief in themselves and just the way they come out and perform and execute. They know that. We know that. I love playing with this defense. These guys are strong-willed, heady, dangerous individuals. It's pretty cool. I don't know too much about them yet. I mean, I really am just a newcomer, but you don't really have to know too much to see how well they play.
Did you notice something different from when you got here that you didn't know?
No. I mean, we knew playing against these guys twice. One went pretty well in 2020. The other one went. It was horrible. Crowd noise was obviously a big factor. Like the Superdome gets loud, man. It really does, and that's hard. Especially it's hard for a tight end looking in at the ball, not being able to hear the cadence, the snap count. Like stuff throws you off, and you don't anticipate it's going to be that loud until you're actually in that environment. It's like and those guys play and they thrive in that energy, and it means more. It does.
You're often right next to the guys, if not helping them as well. But how did you think, and what was the biggest thing the offensive line did to perform better in pass protection and run blocking?
The O-line did a great job. I do think their communication was fantastic. I think AK did an awesome job picking up a ton of blitzes. On Chris Olave's touchdown catch on the 2nd and 6 going into their end zone, our rookie back comes over and cross-checks a protection to a unblocked outside linebacker to my side because we had a 4 technique come out. It was really just communication, execution, recognition of what we needed to do to be successful. And then Derek puts a strike into Olave, strong hands, catches the ball in the back of the end zone. Like that's the type of stuff that you love. Like, and it looks really easy, but there's just so much work that these guys do in the meeting rooms, on the field, after practice, to try to be able to pick up these exotic blitzes, these different fronts, these stems right before the ball's snapped, where you have to be comfortable and confident enough to keep your blood pressure low and to keep your heart beating at that steady rate and just be able to pick it up the way that you're supposed to, right? You've seen it before. It's just a matter of executing.
Is there a big, that's one of those things, especially when you see average consumer of football doesn't see. How motivating is that for the entire team, maybe the entire unit, when you see, you know, a young guy, a new guy, anybody that's making plays like that?
It's awesome because, you know, he had the big play to get us down there, right? So it's like he's able to do that, keep his wind, keep his wits, right, and not be, because like it's one of his first, if not his first, big play, you know, in this league, which is awesome. And then he follows that up with a really unselfish block to help spring a teammate. Like that's exactly what you want. And that's what you need from like guys who are spark plugs and can come off the sideline and just bring a different type of energy and bring a different type of demeanor. It's awesome.
For the offense to kind of find rhythm and success finally in the red zone, how much confidence does that give this unit moving forward?
I think plenty. I think there's plenty of things that we can continue to get better at. Obviously, in the same way that you don't want to harp on too many of the positives, you don't want to harp on too many of the negatives. You definitely want to clean everything up, though. You know, the false start penalties. You know, one of them on me. Like that's stuff that we got to clean up. It's things that could really hurt you down the line because in the biggest of games, you don't get those opportunities back. Right, you don't get to take a 3rd and manageable into a 3rd and 11 plus, and be able to convert and execute and score points. Like that's really hard. And I don't know too much about the playoffs, but I've heard that, you know, Super Bowls come down to 1 play. You know, the championship games come down to 2. It's like the less and less you got to play clean football. Watching the Eagles Chiefs this past year, it's like the whole game, like you didn't see a single flag fly until the last drive, the last play, the last second. It's stuff like that, right? Where it's like we got to clean stuff up. Like that we won by 34 points, but in no way, shape, or form was that a Super Bowl winning performance. And that's what everyone's goal in this league is. And if it's not, then you're playing the wrong sport.
Alvin was rattling off all those penalties. Said, you know, Foster Moreau. Do you guys like that? I mean, people could read that different ways. He obviously seemed to be doing it in a positive manner, but I mean, for people like, yeah, we should openly be talking about this kind of stuff even after a win like that.
Well, yeah, because I mean, if DA were to come into the team meeting and we go to watch the film, and it's just like, oh man, look at this great tackle, you know? Oh, look at this great catch and run. It's like, oh man, we feel really fat on ourselves and we feel really happy when in actuality, like there was plenty of stuff that really hurt us and it could have been, we could have scored more, right? But, you know, we scored 3 offensive touchdowns. We had 2 field goals and Tyron got a pick 6. It's like, look at it like that. It's like, oh, okay. So, you know, yeah, we probably could have played better. We probably could have done more. And we should have done more. Our average drive start was high in the 30s, the minus 39, and theirs was on the minus 21. It's like, yeah, we should be scoring more. And there were too many drives that we came up empty. If we're not walking onto the field trying to score points, then we're not playing the right type of offense. And I know I keep ending most of my questions with, if we're not, then we're this, right? But it's what the truth is.
Is that something that you're all so accustomed to that, you know, when you have a win like this, that it's not hard to walk in and say, well, there's still these things that we want to address? Or is there a learning curve to that of, you know, trying to manage that encouragement versus the look ahead?
Yeah, good question. It'd be hard for me to say that I've seen people walk into buildings hungrier after a win than they would compared to a loss. It's the way of the world. It's kind of how we're brought up, how we're taught to learn. It's a matter of managing expectations and understanding that a Week 5 win is, funny enough, Mike McDaniel, the coach for the Dolphins, had a great quote when he said, hey, this offense has put up more yards in the first 5 weeks than any other team in NFL history. How do you feel about that? He said, oh, yeah, man. Goal accomplished. You know, that's exactly what we spent our entire offseason. We only wanted to worry about our output through the first 5 weeks of the season, which is awesome. Good for us, right? It's supposed to be about getting rhythm and getting momentum, as we talked about earlier, and trying to learn how we could continue to grow and be successful. Honestly, it's the wins and the losses are great, but you're trying to win into the postseason, right? And that'll be what we have to do to be successful, to be playing the type of football that we think that we should be playing.
You said, good question to a few people. I have a bad question. Did you see the game on Friday night, Jesuit Brother Martin, by chance?
No, I saw that we went into halftime with a 3-0 lead, and we didn't pull it out. Sucks. I mean, do you want me to expound?
Yeah.
Great. That's great. Where did you go to school?
Tells,
That's tough.
your coach went, you know.
Yeah, I know. I do know. Yeah.
I got another maybe mid question. Stingley won't be playing obviously this week, but y'all were teammates, I guess, during bowl practice. Can you just?
Kinda, not really. We weren't really teammates. I don't think. Had he shown up by that point? I'm not.
I feel like you practiced.
I think he was actually. I do remember that. That was. That wasn't the. Jeez, oh man, mind's starting to boggle me a little bit. That wasn't one of those citrus bowls that I was playing in those middle years. That was the Fiesta Bowl, right, in 2018, going into 19. Yes, I remember him coming, and I remember being like, wow, yeah, that guy's a good player. And he was all throughout his years at LSU. He's a tremendous player. And he has been in the pros, has been a very good player. What was your question?
What was your memory of him in those practices?
Yeah, no, he was tremendous. I mean, exactly what we had all seen that had him drafted so high and had everyone, I mean, every DB's coach in the country drooling from the mouth. It's like his footwork was tremendous. His mentality was awesome. Like he was the epitome of a guy that never had to talk about it, just because his play showed for it so much, which is just so cool to see a guy like that who was to me, he was so young and had the opportunity to be so immature, and no one would have cared because we would have been like, oh, he's immature, but he just wasn't at all. It's pretty cool. Yeah.
Also, you did the crucial catch spot for the NFL. How much did it mean to be able to be a part of that?
That was very cool. That was an awesome experience. Yeah, it's something that now means so much to me. And I always had a really, really healthy respect for the month of October, and held cancer in a really close place to my heart. I really didn't have too many people that were very close to me that had ever had it. I had old classmates that had gone through it and survived and beat it, and it was just the tightest people, the guys that I knew that I had a ton of respect for, right? And that was for me the entire month of October. My dad had prostate cancer a couple years back, and so last year I spent all October trying to get a touchdown ball for him. And I think either the last week in October or the first week in November we got one, and I celebrated with him, which was awesome. But it was it's stuff like that. And now this month, and getting to wear breast cancer awareness stuff, and I don't know. It's a lot. It's a lot for me, certainly. For a guy who normally has a bunch of words for everything, this one kind of leaves me pretty speechless. Thanks, guys.